I'd like to begin by thanking the frontline workers, the nurses, doctors, truckers, grocery store workers, and others who are keeping us alive and protecting us while putting themselves on the front line every single day. Today, I'm here to talk about the emergency of small business shutdowns. Small businesses are drowning, and they desperately need a life raft. Governments have shut down businesses, preventing them from doing their normal sales, and revenues for many of these businesses have fallen by 100%. According to the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, of those businesses that are closed, 1/3 are not sure they will ever reopen. That's not just a tragedy for the owners of these businesses, but for their workers and customers. Let's remember that the working class in this country might rely on government for a social safety net, but the only thing keeping them from falling into that net in the first place is a job at a small business. I'm talking about apprentices who seek to become plumbers, electricians, mechanics, hairstylists, clerical workers. The working class of our country either does or at one point did work for small businesses. Small businesses are the springboard out of poverty for kids from troubled backgrounds who need to pay their way through university by working part-time at restaurants or at other retail small business outlets. If 1/3 of the businesses closed now, never reopen, there will be millions of these working class people who will fall deeply into poverty, and no government program could possibly replace the jobs that they will have permanently lost. However, the time is running out to save them. Small businesses have been without revenue for over a month. It will have been 6 weeks, which is 3 pay cycles, 1.5 mortgage payments, bill payments for utilities, rent, and more. These bills keep coming in even though the customers do not. And the stories that we're hearing of businesses who are losing a life's savings, $160,000 is the average loss that a small business has endured over the last 6 weeks, according to the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Money they will never get back. There are not many people out there that could lose $160,000 in a month and a half and absorb the blow. And this is only the beginning. The time for the government to act is now. Now, the government is proposing certain measures to put cash in the hands of small businesses, but there are serious design and delivery flaws that we want to underline and propose to fix here today. First of all, let's start with the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. It is noble to put money in the hands of the workers, but that benefit is not available to owners of small businesses who pay themselves with dividends. Because they were never before employees, they don't have $5,000 of qualifying employment income, and therefore they won't be able to get the benefit. Furthermore, the wage subsidy cannot go to pay them either because, again, they were not previously employees. The government needs to find a way to protect these owner-operators and let them put some much-needed earnings in their pocket with one of these two programs. Second, the emergency response benefit effectively bans workers from taking on any extra hours. If they work and earn any money during the period when they're receiving the benefit, they lose the benefit altogether, meaning they're effectively banned from doing any amount of work that might help keep their business open. So those are the reasons why small businesses will have a hard time with this new emergency benefit. There are some easy fixes that could come forward. For example, under the previous EI program, if someone was on EI but could get 10 or 15 hours a week of work, the government would let them to keep their EI, and they would be able to keep 50 cents of EI for every dollar of earnings. That meant that they were always better off taking that extra 5 or 10 hours than not. They would be rewarded for their hard work. So we believe that people who work should be able to hold on to the benefit at the same time, and that would save the government money while at the same time allowing workers to take more home in total pay and keep businesses open. Secondly, small business owners should be allowed to convert themselves into employees for the time period of the benefit in order to receive that benefit or to receive the wage subsidy for their own personal compensation. Now moving on to the wage subsidy. This subsidy is going to take too long. The government says it will be 3 to 6 weeks before businesses will even be able to apply. We don't know how long after it will be before they actually get the cash in their businesses. If the shutdown is still going on at that time, they will have no wages to subsidize. So the wage subsidy will be meaningless to them. If you are a restaurant and you can't open, then it doesn't matter if there's a wage subsidy. There's no paying work to give your employees, and therefore you will not benefit from this subsidy either. So conservatives are calling for the benefit to be delivered more quickly and for there to be an additional refund of the GST that small businesses have remitted over the last at least 6 months. This is an easy, simple fix. CRA knows exactly what every business is paid in GST, and with a few computer keyboard strokes could refund that money in a couple of days. That would put a massive injection of cash into the hands of businesses who are forced to be closed, who do not have employees or customers right now, and who have desperate need to pay urgent bills. It is a simple fix, and the government could do it. We are asking the government to do this as part of the package it brings back to the House of Commons when we return in the next roughly week or so. We, as conservatives, would support it, and we would help the government any way we could to implement it. The closing message we have today is that time is running out for our small business employers. They have no more money, they have no customers, and they cannot go on. It is time for the government to take urgent action with real results, and we will support the government if they do. Thank you very much.
On va maintenant passer à la période de questions. As usual, one question, one follow-up. Opérateur au téléphone, do we have any questions?
Yes, thank you. Merci. We'll now take questions from the telephone lines. Nous allons maintenant passer à la période des questions. If you have a question and you're using a speakerphone, please lift your handset before making your selection. Si vous utilisez un téléphonement libre, veuillez s'il vous plaît soulever le combiné avant d'effectuer votre sélection. If you have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Si vous désirez poser une question, veuillez soulever le combiné et appuyer sur la touche étoile 1 de votre clavier. If at any time you wish to cancel your question, please press the pound sign. Vous pouvez à tout moment annuler votre question en appuyant sur le dièse. Please press star 1 at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 pour poser une question. There will be a brief pause while the participants register for questions. Il y aura un court délai vous permettant de vous enregistrer dans la file d'attente pour la période des questions. We thank you for your patience. Merci de patienter. The first question is from Mia Robson with the Canadian Press. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm wondering if you would respond to the letter that Pablo Rodriguez sent today asking for advice on how the House of Commons might be able to be more virtual to conduct business, if this is something that Conservatives are supportive of, and if you have any ideas of how it could work.
Yes, thank you very much. That is a very important question. We've been concerned by the fact that so much is happening without parliamentary scrutiny and oversight. Conservatives would support more committee hearings and the holding of those meetings virtually. We know that people right across this country are using Zoom and other tools to do conference meetings, and there's no reason why the Parliament of Canada cannot do exactly the same thing. The major objection we've been getting from administration is that Zoom, for example, doesn't have an easy way for translation to occur from one official language to the other. The solution to that is to just have a call-in line for anybody who wants to get the translation of what they're seeing on their Zoom screen. And you simply call in, and there's a translator there who is taking from French to English or English to French. And that way, everybody, whether they are a parliamentarian or an observer, could get the hearings in the official language of their choice. Security is not a concern because, of course, the meetings are public. And so there's no need to, if there were a bad actor trying to listen in. Well, they can already listen in. It's a public meeting with public records that you'll report about in your publications. So we don't see any logistical obstacles to having committees up and running. And we do think there should be much more hearings, questions asked to public health officials, to ministers. On the financial side, there's something like $500 billion of liquidity and other financial sector activity going on through CMHC, the Bank of Canada, Finance Canada. This is an enormous concern to taxpayers, and their representatives should have the right to pose questions about how that money is being used. So we do think Parliament needs to be more active and involved, and there is technology to do it without putting people in close proximity.
You mentioned committees specifically, but they seem to be talking about the entire House of Commons having some kind of virtual setup. So I'm wondering if you would be okay with extending it beyond committees to the House of Commons itself. But I'm also wondering if you could respond to the news today that the Chief Public Health Officer says they're looking to find ways to disinfect used masks to sort of augment the ability to find masks and other protective equipment for frontline health workers.
So Conservatives will be fully supportive of any virtual return of Parliament to allow us to ask questions of the Prime Minister and his cabinet, to give speeches that would share the whereby MPs would share their constituents' concerns on the public record. So you can expect our full cooperation on all those matters. And our House leader will be taking the lead. Candice Bergen will be taking the lead in negotiating with the government on those issues. I don't want to comment on the issue of disinfecting face masks. I think that would be that's a matter for scientists, and microbiologists, and public health officials. And I'm not qualified to comment on whether that is possible.
Thank you.
Next question on the phone.
Thank you, merci. La prochaine question provient de Raymond Filion avec TVA Télévision. Votre ligne est ouverte. À vous la parole.
Merci. Bonjour, M. Poilievre. Votre parti a émis un communiqué ce matin au sujet du matériel médical essentiel, se disant vivement inquiet de l'ordre donné par le président Trump au niveau des exportations. Je me demandais si vous estimez que M. Trudeau a la bonne stratégie actuellement, selon ce que vous avez entendu, pour tenter de dénouer cette impasse avec les Américains.
Mais jusqu'à maintenant, le M. Trudeau a eu une mauvaise stratégie. Sa décision en février d'envoyer des matériaux médicaux à l'extérieur du pays pour d'autres pays était une erreur. Et on parle d'une énorme somme de matériaux, 50 000 écrans, 1000 masques à visage et d'autres matériaux qui auraient été nécessaires maintenant pour protéger notre propre population. Le Parti conservateur a envoyé une déclaration aujourd'hui avec un plan très détaillé afin de récupérer nos approvisionnements et fournir nos hôpitaux et notre système avec ces matériaux qui sauveront la vie. C'est un plan qui garderait nos approvisionnements ici au Canada, qui financerait la production de ces matériaux et qui fonctionnerait pour récupérer les pertes qu'on a eues en février à cause de cette exportation mal avisée.
Mais entre-temps, ce qui a trait à l'approvisionnement en provenance des États-Unis, le fait que M. Trudeau n'ait pas encore parlé directement à M. Trump, est-ce qu'on doit s'en préoccuper? Êtes-vous inquiet? Ou si on doit être confiant que les discussions en coulisses dont il a parlé encore ce matin portent fruit?
Mais le Parti conservateur espère que les pourparlers porteront fruit pour que nous travaillions, pour que nous puissions importer les produits dont on a besoin. Notre déclaration aujourd'hui a proposé que le Canada et les États-Unis signent une entente réciproque pour partager les matériaux et des approvisionnements qui sont nécessaires pour les produire. C'est mieux de coopérer. Nous sommes une économie intégrée. Nous avons des chaînes d'approvisionnement qui traversent nos frontières. Une relation de coopération est beaucoup mieux. Nous sommes très déçus avec les déclarations et les propositions de l'administration Trump. Et j'espère que lui et les États-Unis verront la sagesse de travailler ensemble.
Prochaine question au téléphone.
Merci. Thank you. La prochaine question provient de Philippe Vincent Foisy avec Radio-Canada. Votre ligne est ouverte, à vous la parole.
Oui, M. Poilievre. J'ai deux questions sur deux sujets. Je vais commencer sur la prestation canadienne d'urgence. Là. Vous en avez parlé un peu tantôt des possibles limites de cette prestation. Là. Le fait que certains qui travaillent, qui ont des petits contrats à gauche et à droite, ne peuvent pas l'avoir, donc peut-être sont encouragés à arrêter de travailler, ou ceux qui l'obtiennent ne sont pas encouragés à aller travailler. Concrètement, pour ces gens-là, qu'est-ce que vous recommandez? Qu'est-ce que vous suggérez au gouvernement? Qui envoie le chèque à tout le monde puis qu'on s'arrange par après? Ou c'est quoi votre suggestion pour ça, pour ces travailleurs-là?
Mais c'est bien simple. Le système d'assurance emploi a déjà un programme qui permet les gens à travailler lorsqu'ils reçoivent l'assurance emploi. Ça s'appelle en anglais Working Well on Claim Program. C'était établi par le gouvernement Harper. Et c'est bien simple. Si quelqu'un gagne $1, ils perdent simplement 50 sous de leur prestation. Donc, nettement, le travailleur gagne le 50 sous. Ça coûte 50 sous moins pour le gouvernement. Et l'employeur a un autre travailleur disponible pour aider à livrer pour les consommateurs. Donc, c'est facile de transférer ce programme existante pour les nouvelles prestations. Nous devrions jamais punir des travailleurs pour travailler. Si les gens veulent travailler, contribuer à l'économie, ils devraient être remboursés et supportés et non pas punis. Donc, le gouvernement doit vraiment régler ce problème parce que j'ai parlé à une petite entreprise ici d'Ottawa aujourd'hui et il y a une entreprise qui vend l'épicerie. Et leurs travailleurs ont peur de perdre leur prestation s'ils travaillent. On ne devrait jamais signaler aux travailleurs qu'ils sont punis pour contribuer à l'économie. Donc, nous sommes là pour travailler avec le gouvernement et faire des suggestions qui peuvent régler le problème à l'avantage des travailleurs, des petites entreprises et des contribuables.
Sur la Chambre des communes, je vous entendais en anglais, là, je comprends votre demande pour les comités et les vidéoconférences, mais sur l'idée qu'il y ait une Chambre des communes qui soit virtuelle, est-ce que ça, vous considérez que d'ici quelques semaines, ça pourrait être possible? C'est sûr que quand on entend souvent parler de programmes informatiques, des fois, c'est un peu compliqué avec Ottawa, mais pensez-vous que les députés pourraient siéger virtuellement d'ici quelques semaines, comme le suggère M. Rodriguez?
Oui, absolument. Dans mon comté, il y a toutes sortes de groupes, des petits groupes de bienfaisance, de but non lucratif, des petits groupes d'affaires qui font des réunions de façon virtuelle avec un abonnement de $40 par semaine avec Zoom. Donc, c'est pas nécessaire d'avoir un grand système d'info technologique établi par des ingénieurs. C'est simplement d'utiliser les services qui sont déjà là. Pour des réunions qui sont publiques, il n'y a pas de problème de sécurité. Si la discussion du Parlement et des comités sera disponible à tous les gens au monde, ce n'est pas nécessaire de construire un système qui empêche des problèmes. Donc, utilise des systèmes commerciaux qui sont déjà disponibles, paye un petit abonnement et commençons tout de suite. C'est comme ça notre parti utilise ces genres de technologies pour des réunions que nous tenons maintenant avec notre caucus. C'est bien facile de la faire pour le Parlement et le comité.
Prochaine question au téléphone.
Merci. Thank you. The next question is from Bill Curry with the Globe and Mail. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, Pierre. On the wage subsidy and the expected legislation, I was wondering if you can give an update on what's been happening over the weekend, if anything. If you recall, last time Parliament met, the opposition received a heads-up draft, and there were some consultations. So have you heard anything, and do you think the government is going to back down on some of the issues, like the 30% decline in revenue issue that's upset some business groups?
Thank you very much, Bill. We haven't heard anything yet. I don't think the government has yet decided the terms of the new subsidy. We encourage them to work with us throughout the process and to share as much information up front. The 30% revenue drop requirement is a problem because a lot of businesses that are suffering will not be able to show that drop. One, a lot of small businesses don't keep month-to-month revenue records, so they couldn't tell you exactly what they earned in March of 2019 to compare. New startups don't have a year in which to compare. Businesses that are on the verge of bankruptcy are often doing fire sales of their inventory and assets, which makes them lose money in reality, but artificially boosts their revenue and renders them ineligible for the subsidy. For all of these reasons, a strict usage of a revenue decline of 30% for eligibility for the wage subsidy will shut out a lot of businesses who are otherwise deserving. So the government could look at things like using a series of different kinds of measurements: revenue, earnings, subscriptions, orders. And then let the small business choose which of those it would use to qualify for the wage subsidy, rather than that one measurement, which will shut out a lot of people. So we're available to talk about these things with the government to help them solve these problems. Also, our party has been leading a very in-depth consultation with small businesses, banks, and others to come up with some solutions to the delivery of the benefit. Because we think there's going to be some serious problems with CRA delivering it, 6 weeks to 2 months from now, and we want to come up with some practical solutions that will get the money in the hands of businesses ASAP.
Are you still expecting Parliament to sit? Because last time I checked, there was nothing on the notice paper for tomorrow, and we're heading into a week where Good Friday is not a sitting option. So time's running out for Parliament to sit here.
I don't see how the government can implement its new wage subsidy without sitting. The bureaucrats cannot implement the announcements that the Prime Minister has made on the wage subsidy unless the law is changed, because his announcements are illegal under the current Income Tax Act. They do not have any legal foundation, and that might seem like a small detail in these times, but CRA is obliged to follow and implement the law, and they can't do that until the Parliament comes and fixes the law. So I don't see how we avoid at least coming together for a few hours to fix the legislation that the government passed a couple weeks ago.
Next question on the phone.
Thank you. Merci. The next question is from Chris Gooley. Please state your media outlet or affiliation. Your line is open.
Hey, Pierre. Chris Gooley, the Tyee. Is the GST refund still on the table?
We think it is. In fact, tomorrow the Parliamentary Budget Officer will publish a full costing for a refund of GST remittances to small businesses for the last 6 months and the last year of remittances. We would encourage the government to include this proposal in the package it reintroduces in the House of Commons when we meet around Easter time. And that would be an immediate infusion of cash. It would be proportional to the revenue that businesses had pre-COVID lockdown, and it would help businesses that are continue to be locked down and therefore won't benefit from the wage subsidy.
So when you mention Easter time, is that when you expect Parliament to reconvene?
That's just a guess because
Okay.
I have no other information. But I mean, Easter is basically upon us. So I suspect that I'm guessing now that that's what the government's looking at, but I have no one has told me that.
So a week after Easter, in other words.
I don't know the answer to that question. I'm just saying, based on my intuition, given that we haven't had any notice yet, but that we do need to come back in order to change the Income Tax Act for the wage subsidy to go ahead. I suspect that it will probably be around Easter, but that's a guess.
Next question on the phone.
Merci, thank you. There are no further questions at this time. Il n'y a pas de questions enregistrées pour le moment.
Thank you.
Merci.